Hopefulness 3.0, March 16th. I couldn't remember. Oh man, I don't remember if I needed to do it. I think it was here. Let's get you under here. And then let's find a way to keep you propped up. Things are slowly coming together. Actually, make sure you're still recording, because I fucked that one time up and then everything has been making me paranoid. So I've got... let's screw it up again. So obviously I've got that set up. Those trash boxes are, well, trash boxes. I got my little setup over there for my shoes. I moved that rack from see, it used to be over here behind the little corner here. It's like in a little, I can fucking, let's just show you, fuck. It used to be here. Now there's nothing. But those guys are still hanging there because I want them there and accessible when I walk out. I've got the shoe rack here. I think I might move it over just a little bit. There. That way, you know, it kind of doesn't take up too much space. I mean, sure, the full-length mirror, hey there, is kind of blocked, but whatever. And then, of course, I was like, what do I do with this fucking thing? And I'm like, you know what, let's just sit on it when I do my shoes, because then all my shoes could be over there. Then I've got this rack. So far, it's kind of like, so I got the bags up there, easily accessible, clothes, obviously the painting that I could switch up if I wanted to. I'd have to move the rack if, let's see what happens. Let's maybe move you over here real quick. Let's put you on top of the fridge so that I can do this. Let's fix that. Move my medications out of the way. Giving you the best angle possible for everything. That's fine. It's not going to last that long. What I need to do is move you over just a little bit so that if in case I want to, I can maybe just reposition. And then move you back. Cool. And I've already made marks on the walls and stuff. So now it kind of looks like space is over there, and maybe, you know, you're kind of floating out, and that line goes all the way across, so it's not necessarily, because of the way that it like blocks everything and nothing sort of transmits through it, it's not like a ring of anything. It's, you know, it's abstract, and that's why I bought it for $30, maybe 35, I don't remember. But yeah, I've got, you know, some cleaning supplies. I can put the vacuum there at the foot of the bed. I've been trying to take care of what was on my bed so that I could take it off, so that I can actually have a bed to sleep on, because I've been sleeping mostly in this section here instead of the fullness of it all. This is a little weird right now just because, like, I don't have a good angle of approach to the bed at the moment, but that'll come later. But now I need to make my coffee. It's past 4 in the afternoon. I haven't had my coffee. Let's hope that works. But it's coming together. It's been a little over 2 weeks. And, oops, hold on. Okay, good. Most of my stuff, like, I think at this point, except for a few things that are in the sink right now that they still haven't been washed from the storage. It's only like a couple of things. Everything else has essentially been used. So I've got pretty much everything I need. Like right now on the bottom of this, I've got a bunch of like old clothes that I'm probably not going to wear anymore. So I'm going to wash them and potentially donate them, figure out what I can do with those. Check to see if I can wear them if they serve a function first. Some of the shirts I just don't want anymore for one reason or another, be it the fit, the look, whatever. And then down here on this middle rack is sort of my secondary drying rack. So what I've realized is that I do not have enough space here to both cook and clean. Like, these still need to be washed. Like, all of these pots need to be washed. And the pan, and the tongs, they all need to be washed. But I also am pretty soon going to need to make some bread again, because I'm out of bread at the moment. And the last, either that or pizza. But I'm probably going to make bread first and then move back to pizza, because the whole, like, switching back and forth is kind of a pain in the ass because of the nature of the cast iron and the necessity for reseasoning for the pizzas and stuff. So we'll just deal with that when the time comes. Right now, I need to make my coffee. So let's get, let's actually just take you guys out. And of course, I'm going to use the water that is currently in the mug right now because I'm lazy. Even though it's filtered water. And generally speaking, the best water to use is unfiltered water. But it's whatever. And I can go ahead and probably just need to wash these, to be honest. So I might as well. Tonight, I'm gonna go back to I gotta go back to the store and replenish a couple of things that, you know, like milk. I realized because of this amount of space that I have in the fridge, because it's a smaller fridge, there's only so many chicken thighs and stuff that I can have on a regular basis as well. So once I'm done, or I'm close to done consuming the chicken thighs that I have cooked, which I'm almost done with, then I can cook the ones that I had, just the one rack, you know, the one thing I have. Put those bones in because I've made some stock since Saturday, I think. Do all that, get all that done, taken care of, etc. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm almost settled in regarding, at the very least, where's the stir? Oops. I'm almost completely settled in. So that's good. I was going to start using the fitness center after I was fully settled in, but because I'm so close to it, and I had already considered it, I was like, fuck it, let's just do it. And they've probably already fixed the cable that I had an issue with on the lat pull down machine. Originally, I was only going to just do the 2 exercises, and I'm like, I want to do some more lat pull downs. I like those. I like doing lat pull downs. Like, it's one of the few exercises that I really enjoy doing. I don't know why. If I can get on a lat pull down machine, I will do it. I really enjoy it. And so I'm like, well, fuck it, let's do. You know, I've been trying to follow some fitness influencers on like YouTube. So like Liam, the Plant Slant, he's really good. I followed him on TikTok back in the day when I was still living at the shelter, and then, you know, TikTok got bought out by the current fascist organization, essentially. And I was like, well, fuck those guys. But, you know, he's a creator. He got to do what he got to do, whatever. And but I found him again by accident one time on YouTube, and I was like, well, hell yeah, let's do that. I don't remember why I brought him up. There's a video of this like overweight woman who doesn't want to run. So it's, and then people like mock her and are like, anything but running, right? I'm like, first of all, doing anything in excess can actually can cause harm. I mean, hell, Eminem, after he was dealing with all of his like bullshit with his drug addiction, and the first, you know, like decade-ish of his career, and then he started going to rehab and everything. He was running, but then he became addicted to running, and then that was causing problems for him. So he had to like refocus, and that's one of the things that I've dealt with when working with addicts, is that they become addicted to something else. It's like, one of the most common things is coffee and cigarettes. That's a super common thing for people who come out of rehab to just start gorging themselves on, because like the coffee pot at the AA meeting is almost always full, and like it's better obviously than fucking like heroin or cocaine or whatever, or fentanyl these days. I mean, fentanyl and heroin are like the two. Opiates are generally the two biggest. Then there's like your Percocets and your Xanaxes as well, benzos of any kind, and so it's like, and it's usually like the strong shit that people are going after, which is why like when I was working at the rehab in Pasadena, one of the clients, I brought the salt and the sugar, gotta get those two things, but I put some brown sugar in one of these bad boys. I'm actually going to use that, because why the hell not? Salt is already over here. But yeah, one of the clients, he had mentioned that he was there for marijuana addiction. And I was like, well, that's not too bad, right? And then, he put me in my place. He was like, no, it's still an addiction, I'm still dealing with it. And I was just like, you're right, I shouldn't have reacted that way. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty common. And I'm like, it kind of makes sense, yeah, because like we don't see weed similarly to that of like alcohol. Like alcohol is probably the major one because it's legal, it's pretty relatively successful or accessible was the word I was looking for. By the way, brown sugar in coffee is great because molasses in coffee is great. And so like, we had a good like half-hour discussion about it because like, for one, I needed to challenge my own preconceptions, but I also needed to learn from him so that then when it came to talking to other people about those preconceptions, like I could help to disarm that similar preconception, that similar dismissal, not only for the purposes of like people like him, but also so that other people don't dismiss the addiction for people like him. And so, while I don't remember the man's name, because to be honest, I can't even remember the names of the people that I regularly talk to. Like, there's like a few coworkers that I kind of remember, but that's about it. Because, I mean, this has been nearly, I got fired at the end of August 23, right? Yeah, because 24 was the last eclipse, and I did that in April. Man, so yeah, it's been 2.5 years since I had that job. So try to remember everybody is going to be kind of impossible. But that's the thing. It's just like it's the details of who he was are less important than the lesson learned. Now, of course, it is good to give credit to the people who deserve it, which is why I'm mentioning the fact that I didn't just come up with it on my own. I am, in fact, indicating that another human was involved in this process, and that the fact that they had done it, and the fact that they put me in my place, and he did it in a way that was, like, it was kind, but at the same time, you could tell he was hurt from it. And I recognized that rather quickly, and I was like, that's not a good thing for me to do. So, But yeah, it's just like, to go back to the point of it all and why I brought it up in the first place, it's like Liam, the plant slant, is, you know, he's kind of reacting to these other TikTokers who are reacting to someone else. It's like this overweight woman, and instead of, you know, doing a run or something like that, she's doing like the little hoop thing, but it has like the little weight on the end of like a little string, and it goes around you and stuff. And I'm like, that's interesting. I can see like, I can see that there could be use for that. I think for me, it'd probably be best to just get a fucking hula hoop. Hula hooping, by the way, is great core workout. Like, kids need to fucking hula hoop. That shit is phenomenal core workouts. And it's fun. And that's kind of the thing that Liam was talking about. He's just like, whatever gets you moving, if you're having fun doing it, just keep doing it. And like with me and the lat pull down, I don't know why it's so fun for me to fucking do them, but I'm gonna keep doing them unless it's causing me injuries or whatever. And I gotta talk to the physical therapist tomorrow about the whole situation, so we'll see. But yeah, you know, work out, do what's fun, and then do it in a way that doesn't cause you harm. Like, I have to adjust the chest press to where it's slightly up because my range of motion is fucked because of this arm. Well, I've literally tried to do a bench press the right way in the past, and I can feel the pain in mostly right here where the tendon connects. And like, that is a bad thing. I cannot be trying to give myself fucking tendonitis just doing basic ass bench presses. And it's probably one of the reasons why I kind of overcompensated in this right shoulder too when I was doing the push-ups when I was in jail. And so there's all kinds of reasons as to why you do the things that you do, and why you should do certain things and why you shouldn't do other things. I'm going to start putting some of these up. So, you know, I've got these plates and bowls and stuff that are from IKEA. And I'm very familiar with them because the last place that I lived at, they had also provided IKEA plates and bowls. So I'm like, okay, well, I know how to handle these. The problem is, I still fucking hate hand washing. It sucks. And especially because this fucking water in here is like the good pressure is still meh pressure. So, that's a problem in of itself. Probably have to figure out another place to put that, because having a box grater potentially fall on you and then trying to catch it, maybe not the best idea. So, and I might just put it up here now that I think about it, because, and I was going to get to that at some point as well, this rack that you are currently sitting on, the literal level that you're sitting on, is where the tools currently are, like the general kitchen tools. So like, I have my, shit, and I gotta figure out how to mitigate that, but like the little Ninja motor that I've got, that it goes on top of the two little Ninja blenders that I have. And then of course I have my hand mixer. This rack is going to be intended to use like for stuff that's on this side. Stuff I need to use or reach or whatever on a pretty regular basis. So it's going to be like towels, hand towels, shit like that. Matter of fact, I need to, oops. I got this one here, and I might as well just stick it up here. This bag elsewhere. I haven't completely taken everything out of every box because like, there's not a place for everything so far. Like, I've got old phones that I gotta take care of. I got a bag full of like electronics that I gotta deal with. And so I also gotta deal with like what to do with those outside in the real world, as it were. I got my creatine tablets that I'm trying to take them before I head downstairs. Usually you want to take them about 30 minutes before or after, from what I've been able to gather. But yeah, today is finish up with the bed because I just want to have all the bed to myself. I gotta finish the boxes that are near it. Some of it is like clothes. I'm also gonna have to have like a spot for this one has some stuff that I would typically use with a key that I have no fucking clue as to what it goes to. I got just a bunch of legal pads because I remember buying some back when I think it was during COVID, and I bought a bunch of legal pads and I started working on some of them. This one looks like it's had a brush with a number of different things. I don't even know what the fuck is going on there. It looks like a lot of ink dried through, like led through it. To it? I don't know. Maybe it's mouse piss and shit. I don't fucking know. I need to start, and one of the reasons I also need to get all this stuff taken care of is so that I can start vacuuming every day, because like this place gets fucking dusty fast. Honestly, it would be better if I got a broom, because then I could just vacuum up the dust pile, because a broom is just easier to get through stuff without having to drag the machine with me and everything. But right now I can't really do anything because when I went to the grocery store the other day, wash my hands real quick. And now the water's turned on and it's at a reasonable, but still not great pressure. And this is the best pressure that's available. And that pressure is pretty pathetic. It makes for, hand washing dishes harder, especially with this relatively small sink. Because this is like 3/4 the size of the original sink that I had. Like, it's not even as deep as the other sink that I had. So, like a double basin sink works in a way, but not always, because you can like plug one up and then that's where all the soapy stuff is, and you can start rinsing and shit on the other side and whatnot, and that works. But both of them need to be of appropriate size for the stuff you're going to put in, and that's one of the reasons why like more modern sinks are like a single basin, is because like the old sink that I had, if the middle, because it was a double basin setup, if the middle hadn't been there and it was just a single basin, I could have put a whole ass fucking half sheet pan in there. But I couldn't do that. So it was always like leaning off to the fucking side, and I was like, and then that was while I was still hand washing it. And then once I got the dishwasher, then it was a lot easier. But I'm almost done with the boxes. I've only got 5 boxes left, then they're all kind of mishmashed or whatever. And then I've got so I got my IKEA bag. It's where the clean clothes are, so that when I go and actually do my laundry, boom, I take the laundry hamper with the dirty clothes in there, bring that back, put it back in its spot. When the clothes are ready to be either moved or brought back in here, then I bring the clean IKEA bag with me. And so I've now got that little process going, which I really couldn't have done when I was at the shelter. It just wouldn't have worked out. Just because there wasn't that much space. Now that I have this space. And then I can't really do much for money right now because I'm waiting for a bit of my money to get moved from from an index fund. Because this past weekend when I bought bacon and shit, I had forgotten that I had bought some stuff at the Target on the way to the comedy show. And because of that, I was like, well, fuck. It cut down my food stamps by more than I had remembered. And so when I was there in the line, it read insufficient funds. I'm like, fuck. And had I been a little quicker thinking, which I'm not, because I'm just not, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like I'd have a hard time in comedy myself. But I just paid for everything with cash, and so that's kind of cut down my my available funding. So I've got just enough basically to pay for my phone bill. Now what I've been doing is I've been looking into the free options that are available. So one of those things, and I can't remember. So at least in California, I was gonna say in America, but I would say California might be a little bit more America than some places right now in the same country. But in California, there's something called the California Lifeline, and I think it's also associated federally as well. So if you, and I will try to link something there if I can. I don't know how the comment section works in YouTube still to this day when it comes to fucking outside links, because I know they try to combat spam and stuff. But I'm looking into this free phone plan that's literally like $0 a month. But even if I was going to pay for it, it was going to be like $30 a month. And it's better than what I'm getting through T-Mobile. Because it would be unlimited talk and text and like 7 gigs, I think, of data. And it would be like $30 a month. So even if I got that one, I could then move my phone over to that, and I found out like it is through Tag Mobile, TAG, which I think was started in Houston. There's multiple different, mobile carriers that are associated with this, and I just wish there was more information that was about this, that was out there, because like there's a lot more options than the main problem. However, is that physics is the biggest limiter, right? So the electromagnetic spectrum that we use to communicate across the world has specific limitations and in how we use it. Like, and that's why, like, when they talk about, moving a gigabyte of data in like 5 seconds or whatever at some university somewhere, they are trying new methods with newer technologies that are outside of the typical forms of communication. Fiber is really good because you don't have like because it's fiber optic and it deals with light, right? The cool thing about light is it doesn't have to be wireless. In fact, it's better if it's not wireless. It's better if it's hard cables like fiber optics, because with fiber optics, glass is really easy to make, and thus it makes the fiber optic cables relatively cheap, and especially once you have like a good at-scale manufacturing system, and then you build a new building that has fiber optic cables all the way up and down it, well then now you don't have to worry about like what we currently deal with when it comes to wireless communications. Now, wireless communications is an issue because there's only so much of the actual spectrum that exists. Like, at a point, you get down to the background the microwave background radiation levels, and it's like you don't want to be communicating with that, because now you're gonna have static all over the fucking place, because it would just be static all the time. So what we work in is in a specific section, and I don't remember the exact frequencies, but I mean close to like your 5.4 gigahertz and stuff like that. Radio frequencies. We're in the radio spectrum. When we communicate via a wireless, through our wireless phones or our Wi-Fi's and stuff, we're communicating in the radio spectrum. We're not communicating in the visible light spectrum, or the infrared spectrum, or the ultraviolet spectrum, or the UVA or B or C spectrums, etc., etc. Radio has the most, but at the same time, it's kind of limited as well, because we're if we want good fidelity and we want and thus higher resolution and accuracy, you actually want to move closer to the visible spectrum, closer to the infrared spectrum. And so what has happened is that like the U.S. and various and the rest of the world basically have decided, they've agreed, hey, we're going to communicate we're going to utilize certain specific sections of the electromagnetic spectrum for communication purposes. All right. So for commercial communication purposes, there's a specific section, and then for like military intelligence, there's this section. But maybe you don't necessarily want to use the same bandwidths as your enemies. For instance, Cold War era was a big deal in breaking this up. And so you start kind of creating all of these various little sections within this relatively small section. Now, of course, you can still cram a lot of data even into the smallest because you're dealing with extreme frequencies. A gigahertz is 1 billion. It took me a moment. Because we're dealing in metric now. 1 gigahertz is 1 billion hertz, 1 billion frequencies, 1 billion cycles in 1 second. So if you're communicating on the 5.4, you might actually be communicating on the 5.4313. You know, you're on the 13th of the 5.4 gigahertz section. And because now you're breaking that 5.4 billion down into, well, it'd be the 5 billion, 4 million section. Now you're saying, okay, we're going to have a 10 million, 3 million section, right? And so, like, you could say, for instance, this is just an example that I'm pulling out of my ass just to illustrate the point. Let's say all phone carriers, all wireless phone carriers have to be on the 5.41. Like, they all have to be in the 5,410,000,000 section, right? So, like, let's say T-Mobile decided they want the 1 through the 3, and then Verizon got the 4 through the 6, then AT&T got the 7 through the 9, right? And then they can do their little small sections here and there and there and there, because then if you've got, like, even if you have millions of phone numbers, they don't all necessarily have to connect at once, because they're not going to connect at once. It's not likely, it's not probable. And so then, and then there's way more engineering that goes into this that I even have an understanding of. Like, this is essentially how they were able to go for, like, if you've seen those old images of, like, those just giant, like, one pole that has, like, 50 cables stretching off of it, those are basically all phone lines. And then they would terminate at a phone operator's building where they had a giant switchboard, and they would plug in one cable here. And if you've ever seen, like, in movies, or even if you've done audio engineering of any kind, I can show you what it looks like. Ow, fuck! What the hell's wrong with my hip? Great for the day before my. Basically, they look like this. This is a 3.5 millimeter connector. This is, like, the most common connector when it comes to, like, your sort of hardline audio data. The one that you'll see more frequently on a regular basis as an everyday person is the problem with cables, but I also like cables, is this little guy. And that, by the way, goes to this because it's got a little screw on there, right? So this is your 1.5 millimeter. This is your everyday aux plug. It's been a while since I've taken, and so you can tell screwy on here. And so if I had, let's say, an audio interface that I could then plug into the side of my computer, and then I could plug this directly into it, you can get better quality because it's more surface area, for one. But also, sometimes it's just for the adaptive purposes, because, like, you don't necessarily have it. This also holds better because of the surface area. You got that big old nodule there, and it holds in better. And so, you work with what you got. But on that 3.5 millimeter end, you could have a cable that's just, the two male ends, as they call it, going into the female ends. And it's like, okay, so-and-so from this number needs to connect to that number. So what you do, you basically, there's some method of, like, putting them on hold, essentially, while their line is still running. And then you do a couple of switchy majigs, you plug in here and there, and then you connect them over. and then the operator does whatever is necessary to make the other line ring. Basically, either that or they call first. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't remember how that works because it didn't exist when I was a kid. They showed it in some capacity. So, like, one way of doing it, I'm sure that it was done at one point, is, let's say I need to call my friend across town. And New York City was a really good place for this because it's so densely populated at the turn of the 19th century, the 19th century, 1900s, 20th century rather. And so at that point, there was already a significant amount of people. Then you end up getting wired phone calls. And so newer buildings and blah, blah, blah. And then they could start, incorporating this, that, and the other. And then it's like, okay, they call the operator. I need to connect to so-and-so. Operator says, hey, okay, hang on, let me call the other person. Hi, this is the operator. You're getting a phone call from so-and-so. Let me connect you. And then boom. And if you listen to the end of, I think it's Young Lust by Pink Floyd, there's essentially that, but like, it's in England, of course. And like, they're both on the call waiting for the other end, and the other, like, they're answering and hanging up immediately afterwards. It's funny. And so it's just like, now we don't even think about that. We don't hardline our phone calls for the most part, unless you have a literal landline. And so that's been one of the issues with the advent of wireless internet. When it comes to, like, you're having your Wi-Fi in your house, because you're communicating in a similar bandwidth, which is really small but has a lot of data potential inside of it. And just like if you kind of encroach into the realm of the world of audio, like music, for instance, and I was very bad at music, still am. I would still like to continue to learn how to play music. But like, so you have like a G string, right? A G note, that's the word I was looking for. A G note produces sound at a specific audible frequency. Well, it's pretty low for the most part. The audible frequency for humans is roughly 20 hertz, 20 cycles per second, up to 20,000 cycles per second. But again, this is on the audio spectrum. This is not on the visible spectrum. We're not even dealing with the same shit anymore. We're dealing with a different kind of physics. We're dealing with the literal physics of the air we're in, of the stuff, the medium that we are literally in. Me communicating to the microphone that is on that phone, I am pushing air at various frequencies across the space between us, and that it's registering on the tiny little microphone in there and recording it and turning it into digital ones and zeros and storing it later, so that when I upload it to YouTube, it encodes properly through the uploading, and then when it plays back on your speakers turn those ones and zeros into sound pressure in the room or wherever you're at, so that they can hit your eardrums and go into your brain, so that your brain can then interpret the audio. Signal chain, just for simple shit. I was very bad at signal chains because my brain just starts losing focus on shit. It's very annoying, but it is what it is. But yeah, so why did I bring all that up? I don't fucking know. Well, I was talking about like getting free internet, basically. And is my understanding they already have this building wired up with fiber for AT&T, so whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. And that thing, I never understood the networking thing when it comes to like it's like, why would it matter unless AT&T unless AT&T is the only company that's willing to service this building, then I guess that makes sense. But like, that seems like a monopoly issue. Why wouldn't they shouldn't be allowed to do that. They should all be required. Like, if internet can be provided in the area, which it can, then all internet suppliers should be required to be able to perform services in this building. They should be able to be a provider, etc. Now, one could say, well, then there's the limitations, and it's like, well, what happens if one company starts fiddling with this or whatever? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. So I don't know. My thing is that if I can get my phone service for free, oh yes, the reason I brought them all up in the first place is because most of the other companies that you don't hear about are using the towers from the other big companies. So like Mint Mobile, for instance, is not its own mobile service. It is part of T-Mobile's towers. It uses T-Mobile's towers. I think Ting has moved over to Verizon, if I'm not mistaken. Boost Mobile may be the one that had done that. But so most of your service providers do not have their own towers and thus their own wavelengths that they travel on. They do a little backpacking, if you will. They follow they hang on the coattails of the bigger guys. And so, like, for instance, in this building and where I'm currently located, T-Mobile sucks. Like, my internet is crap right now. It takes sometimes literally, like, I want to say, it's about a gig per every 10 minutes whenever I record one of these, roughly. It will take at least 6 hours to upload pretty much any video. If I just stay in this room. So fortunately, I'm not going to stay in this room. I'm going to be going downstairs. I'm going to be going out, going to the store. And in the time that I get to the store and back, the video will be uploaded. But if I stayed in my room, it would take until midnight before that would happen. And so, like, that's one of the reasons why I want to get a different internet anyway. They're talking about the first 2 months is free. And I'm like, well, okay, then at least that'll give me 2 months to, like, really test this shit, to really do some hardcore testing, brute force it, try to download certain things from certain websites, do a lot of speed tests at different times of day, stuff like that. Whenever I get like a big update, or if I want to download a game that I know, like a demo, for instance, that's going to be like 10 gigs, because some of them are, depending. Like if I want to go on Steam and I want to download something, like a 10 gig demo, I can try that out. Just brute force the, to really test it out, and then get an idea of how well it works. Because I think they'll probably just put up a Wi-Fi thing in here. I'd rather hardline it, but we'll see what happens. And then I could have the phone being on the Wi-Fi the whole time and test that out as well. Let's say I do get it in the next couple of days because I forgot to do it today. Go talk to them about it and see if I can get it, activated and or installed within this week. Then one of my next videos, maybe I can upload it through that and see what happens. Turn off the hotspot, or turn off the internet on the phone and then go through the Wi-Fi instead. So that's an idea that I'm hoping to be able to pull off. I don't know if that will happen. We'll see. And then, if I get that going, and if I can, and that's the thing, I want to test that first, more than I do on the phone. Like, the phone's important, but that's more important because that's mostly how I do stuff, is via the internet. I communicate to people mostly through email, and so on and so forth. I get texts every now and then from, I usually get two-factor authentication texts more than I get anything else for stuff, because I'm doing stuff on the internet. And so, just taking all of those into account, I might as well just keep this up here. Just a little stain, doesn't do anything. I can keep that up here and I can do stuff in that. But yeah, it's like that way, I got a better understanding of things, and then, potentially, still, well, I had, I'll probably just use it for that anyway. Although I like to use the little, where did I put them? Up here. Put them over here. I did. I'll have to change. Maybe put them over here, I guess. Yeah, that might be better. So I got these bad boys, all nice and clean-ish. Again, it would be better if I could just stick them in a fucking dishwasher. But I like to use these for my Dutch babies. I'm not going to be able to do too many Dutch babies now. Because I just don't have any room in there. I need to have room. So I may still just end up using this one. Alright. My bathroom smells like vinegar. Because I have a humidifier that I've had for a while, and I filled it up with water, probably about halfway up, and then poured in a decent amount of vinegar so I could help clean it off. So the bathroom is going to be interesting. It's going to probably, merge into here. I can already kind of smell it, but it is what it is. The smell will go away after a couple of days. It's just acetic acid. It's not going to cause any problems. But yeah, this is going to be like the cooking corner, basically. I've already got me some condensed milk, some evaporated milk. Apparently evaporated milk, per J. Kenji Lopez Alt, is really good for making your macaroni and cheese more stable. I already bought American cheese, so that's going to be a thing that I'm already going to do. But yeah, it's like, not everything is set in stone while I'm here so far, because I just, I've only just gotten here, and this is after a year and 9 months at a shelter, which itself was after 3 weeks of being on the streets. I was on the streets longer than I've been here so far. Now, the first time was 2.5 years. But as long as things continue and I don't have any problems with anything, because I see that I've had, can't really see it now because I don't have any internet at the moment because I've turned the phone's internet off while I do this. But on the rent program, I see that it says I'm overdue on both of my payments that I've made, so I gotta get that resolved. So, and I probably won't do either one of them tomorrow because I go to the fucking physical therapist, and that means there needs to be that so there's that delayed sleep thing where it's like revenge bedtime procrastination, but it's really called bedtime procrastination, but the Chinese apparently call it. I think it's even in the Wikipedia article where it specifically mentions the Chinese calling it revenge, but it's otherwise known as bedtime procrastination, where it's like, okay, the day has ended, you don't want to go to bed yet because now it's time for you. I need an ADHD version of procrastination where it says, I can't do anything else but wait until it's time for me to do the thing. The preemptive waiting, so to speak. Because, yeah, it's a bitch. Because, and I even tried to tell my therapist about it. I was like, because I think I might fuck up. I might be late or something. And, he's saying, well, these sounds like anxieties. And I'm just like, it's not an anxiety, though. Maybe there's some to it, but, it doesn't feel like one compared to, me not calling my physical therapist to get an appointment because I'm dealing with a gatekeeper. And, that procrastination where I hold it off for days. This one is specifically, I'm afraid that if I start doing something else, my ADHD brain is going to forget about the other thing that I need to do. And so I will end up inadvertently doing additional things, taking extra steps, etc., where then they overlap with the responsibility and I fuck up the responsibility in some way. I.e. not doing it, which I do all the time. That's also part of it too. It's some of the responsibilities are small, building this rack or building that rack or whatever, and so I put them off for a couple of days. And part of it is I don't start doing something else, but I kind of do actually. I do start doing something else. And so that causes me to put that thing off, not because I'm thinking I'll do it later. It's because it disappears from my mind entirely. It goes poof. And so because it went poof, I forget about it. And then it's only until it's basically too late. Either because, so like, and this is also part of the like the ADHD tax thing. So like, let's say for instance, I decide to watch a movie tomorrow, or I go downstairs, and let's just say downstairs, I decide, it's like maybe 1 o'clock. I get up out of bed at a reasonable time because I kind of have to tomorrow because I gotta wait for this fucking phone call from the Department of Public Social Services, and supposedly they're gonna start calling at 9. I don't fucking know. It's the one that they were supposed to get me at like on the 5th, and then they rescheduled it for tomorrow for some reason. So, and then I gotta go online to check to make sure that I'm doing the right thing in that regard. But so I can't even do anything really tomorrow because I gotta wait for that fucking phone call. And even if, let's say, I do get the phone call at like 10, for instance, right? Then I'll have time between then and like 4, because I'm not going to do anything after 4 o'clock. That's not happening. Like, I need to be ready by 4 o'clock. And I know I won't be ready by 4 o'clock, because if I'm ready by 4 o'clock, that means I will forget something. If I'm like sitting on my chair and everything's packed and ready for me to go, which, I mean, there's not a lot. I just need to bring my satchel with like some basic stuff just in case. Like, I'll bring this, which is an okay one. It's not great. I'll bring my bear bell, and then, maybe I'll bring a water, but I probably won't because the last one I brought, I busted at the fucking comedy club, so that sucked. So like, if I'm ready at 4, then I'm not really ready, because then I'll have to come over here, get my shoes, and go downstairs and be ready for the Uber, Lyft, whatever. Because I don't even know when those are going to happen. And so it's like, I can't like start watching a movie at like 1:30 or 2 o'clock. Or like, let's say 2 o'clock or 2:30. I couldn't do that, because then that might get me thinking about other stuff, looking stuff up on, Google, looking stuff up on IMDb, pausing the movies, and then like completely forgetting about the fact that I have an appointment. Which I've done stuff like that before. The smaller it is, the easier it is to forget. It's harder on the bigger stuff, but also that's why I don't do all that other stuff when I have the bigger appointments, because then I'm like, that's the important thing. I'm going to wait for it. So, call it anxiety, call it a neuroses, call it whatever the fuck you want, but it is a thing that has a negative impact on my life. Because I can't, like, go for a 30-minute walk. Because, one, how the hell do I know what a 30-minute walk is? I don't know what a fucking 30-minute walk is. You could call it time blindness waiting, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, but it makes it to where I make sure that I do the right thing. And so I'll be doing that tomorrow. If let's say the phone call happens early and I'm still basically awake and I'm like, fuck it, I can't go back to sleep, then I'll see about going downstairs. But even then, I'll have to, like, I may still not do it because I don't know how long the whole, like, let's wait for the AT&T guy thing. Maybe he'll show up at 3:30 or whatever bullshit. And so it's like, there are unknowns that can fuck with the timeline, as it were. And so I'm like, I'm probably just not going to deal with it tomorrow. And then I'll deal with it the day after. And then who knows what I'll be dealing with on that day too. So. Yeah, it's a frustrating thing. And then I only have so much money right now, so I've got to deal with the cost of the phone. I don't know when that's going to fucking show up, because, like, my bill gets paid like 2 weeks before the new billing cycle happens. So that's also yet another reason to get rid of T-Mobile, because that shit keeps creeping. Like, it's going to be a point where, it would happen after like 5 more years, basically, because I got this, I switched over to T-Mobile in 2020 when Sprint was merged with T-Mobile. Bad idea. It should have done that. That should have happened. But anyway, so I went and got T-Mobile, blah blah blah, and then like it charges me every 30 days. So because of the way that February works, I got shafted on 2 more days basically. So it's gonna push it differently, so it's just like just every 30 days it continues to pull it further and further and further in. Actually, no, the February makes it easier, I think. But it is, and that's the thing, it makes it difficult for me to even realize when the fucking autopay is going to happen, because I don't actually know when it's supposed to happen. It just happens every fucking 30 days. But because each month is 31 days for the most part, half of them are 30, the other ones are 31. So like it just kind of incrementally is scooching its way into the beginning of the month, and there's going to be a time where my cycle, like I'll get billed, then the cycle will restart at the end of the month on the 29th, and then I'll get billed again. So it'll be a good idea it'll be good when I can move away from T-Mobile. Because again, it does not work in this room that well. I mean, it still works, but like it's worse than the 4G that I was on. Like sometimes I get good speeds, and sometimes I'm literally in the middle of a video and it just hangs there for a second. Like I thought that there was something wrong with the videos, but no, it was something wrong with the internet. And also, YouTube is an asshole because it's trying everything it can to make you watch ads, and I do everything I can not to watch ads. So I don't use the YouTube app for most things anymore. Like I used to. There would be times where I might just hit the YouTube app and just scroll the shorts all the time. I don't really do that anymore. I try to use the browser because the browser has ways of not seeing ads, and so I do that instead. And who knows? That's probably the reason why, because I've seen people talking about how YouTube is being harder with blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, who the fuck knows when this is going to go south? But also, if I can get this AT&T thing done, I can start trying to stream some more. Because one of the things I want to do is I need to finish streaming on my old account just one game, Hollow Knight, and then move from that content into other content specifically for that channel. Maybe not even using that channel anymore, I don't know. And onto using my Just Invented Game stuff. Because then I could be like, well, maybe instead of you moving to the other one, I could just do it over here. And then I could be like, I'll stream video games on these days, and then I'll stream other stuff on other days. I don't know. But I'm not there yet. But I'd like to be. We'll see. As for that, have fun.